You look at your phone, it unlocks. You probably do not think about what just happened. You should. In less than a second, your phone projected 30,000 invisible dots onto your face, read the exact three-dimensional shape of your features, sent that map to a neural network trained on an enormous dataset of faces, compared the result against a model of your specific face, verified that the match exceeded a 1 in a million threshold, and unlocked. All of that. Invisible, silent. Before you have finished blinking, here is how it works. The technology is called structured light mapping. The hardware responsible sits inside the small notch or island at the top of your screen. It contains an infrared dot projector, invisible to the naked eye, that fires a grid of exactly 30,000 dots onto your face. The dots land on your forehead, your nose bridge, your cheekbones, your chin. They cover every contour. Your eyes cannot see infrared light. It sits outside the visible spectrum. But an infrared camera positioned next to the projector reads every dot precisely. Here's the crucial part. Your face is not flat. The 30,000 dots do not land on a flat surface. They land on a surface with hills and valleys. Your nose curves outward. Your temples slope inward. Your forehead is rounded. Because of this three-dimensional geometry, each dot lands at a subtly different depth than its neighbors. The pattern distorts. It stretches over the rise of your nose. It compresses near the hollows beneath your cheekbones. The infrared camera captures this distortion, and from that captured distortion, the system reconstructs a precise depth map of your face, not a photograph, a three-dimensional model built from the pattern of 30,000 displaced dots. That three-dimensional model is then fed to a neural network. According to Apple's documentation, the neural network underlying Face ID was trained on a very large dataset of faces representing diverse ages, ethnicities, and features. The network learned to extract a compact mathematical signature from any face it encounters, accounting for variation in angle, lighting, and expression. Your model is then compared against the stored version created when you first set up Face ID. The comparison threshold is very high. Apple states the statistical probability of a random person unlocking your device with Face ID is approximately 1 in a million. For context, the probability with a 4-digit PIN is 1 in 10,000. Face ID is 100 times more discriminating. Here is something most people do not expect. Face ID adapts over time. Every time you successfully unlock your phone, if your face is slightly different from the stored model, the system quietly updates the model toward what it just saw. This is why Face ID still recognizes you 6 months later when your hair is different, or after you have grown a beard, or when you are wearing glasses. It is not matching you against a frozen photograph taken years ago. It is tracking a slowly evolving version of you, updated quietly every day. There are limits. Because the system relies on three-dimensional depth mapping rather than flat image recognition, it cannot be fooled by a printed photograph of your face. A flat image produces a flat dot pattern, which does not match the three-dimensional model. However, identical twins can sometimes unlock each other's devices. Their facial geometry is closely similar enough that the comparison passes the threshold. Apple acknowledges this and recommends a PIN instead for users with an identical twin. Very young children also present a challenge because their facial geometry changes quickly as they grow, and the stored model can fall behind the rate of change. There is also a security design built in for situations of coercion. After 5 failed attempts, Face ID locks and demands a PIN. After a restart, after more than 48 hours idle, or if you press and hold the side buttons in a specific sequence, the same lockout applies. The design assumes you might be forced to look at your phone. A PIN cannot be extracted from your face by pointing a phone at you. A required code can only come from your knowledge. The next time your phone unlocks in less than a second, 30,000 infrared dots are involved. They deform across the curves of your face, are read by a camera you cannot see, mapped into 3 dimensions, and compared against a mathematical model of you that has been quietly updating every day since you set it up. Now you know.